model car fans, welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Revell, and this week I'm going to feature a build here of a 1971 Plymouth GTX. Now 1971 is the last year for the GTX as a standalone model. After that it became an option package on the Roadrunner. So after 71 you could see Roadrunner GTX, where 71 and previous it only said GTX or Roadrunner. The option packages were not combined. But the GTX, when it was introduced in 1967 with Plymouth, that was the gentleman's muscle car, and it was meant to compete against the GTO as an upscale market muscle car, and it had the 440 and the Hemi initially, with automatic and 4-speed both being available. And as it continued to grow, 68, the Roadrunner was introduced, and it became a direct competitor against the GTX, and that's when sales really started to decline, as you had a highline priced car and a budget priced car, and they both are based on the same body, but there were a lot of differences in the trim. The Roadrunner being 383 only, but the Hemi was available, and if you wanted the 440 you had to buy the GTX. You couldn't get the 440 in the Roadrunner initially, and that did stay true with the Roadrunner. You couldn't get a regular 440 Super Commando in the Roadrunner, but when the 6-pack became available in 69, when it came to the standard 440, that was GTX only as far as the Super Commando goes. In 69 they also muddied the water a little bit more by offering the convertible in the Roadrunner, where that used to be GTX exclusive also for 68. So if you wanted a convertible in 68 you had to get the GTX. But in 69 and 70 the convertible was available in both the Roadrunner and the GTX. But by 1971, when they switched this fuselage body style, which is the much more rounded body with the curved windows. Now the Fury got the fuselage body styling in 69. In 70, the Duster and the Cuda also got the fuselage body style. But the Roadrunner, the B-bodies, basically got it in 71. They didn't get it in 1970. So they were the last to change over to the fuselage body style. And I think the fuselage body styling on these looks great. But the convertible was dropped from the Roadrunner GTX, so no convertibles at all. One thing that was interesting about the B-body platform, even though the GTX was not available in a 4-door, it was the first time in the B-body platform that if you had a 4-door and a 2-door, they had different wheelbases. But before that, they were the same wheelbases. So when it came to options, when the 446-pack became available, the GTX had both of them, and this represents one of the 446 packs for 71, which was virtually the last year with the super rare exception of a couple of 72s. I mentioned that in a previous video, but officially 71 was the last year for the 446 pack and the Hemi. But when it came to the GTX, really took a beating on its sales when it came to 1971. Only 2,942 GTXs were made in 1971, which is why it's rare, and that's all GTXs. When it came to the 446 pack, only 135 of them got that, and only 30 of them got the Hemi, whether it was automatic or manual. Now the automatic was standard in the GTX. You could step up to the 4-speed and it was no additional charge. You just had to order it, but there was no extra pricing for the 4-speed in the GTX. So also on the option packages for 1971 were 31 exterior colors and 8 interior colors. So you had a pretty wide range of colors to choose from, and interior colors, and any combination of those for the most part. So there was a lot of wild colors. But when it came to this particular build, for some reason I decided I was going to go with white, and this is an older build of mine. This actually, for me, building the Revell monogram kit, this is one I actually started when I was about in high school, or after, well, it was after high school. So I started this one sometime after high school, but as growing up, cruising, dating, and all that stuff, I didn't finish it. So I'm not really sure when I started it, but I do know I didn't actually finish this until after I got married, bought the house, and moved in. It's actually the first one that I finished after getting married in 2000 and buying the house and getting back into modeling. So that's what's kind of special with it for me. So when it comes to the actual build, it's pretty much right out of the Revell box, which it's a really good kit. I like this kit. It's really simple. It's of the monogram tooling, basically, so it's 1/24 scale, but it presents really well, and I really like it. Although I will say that body-wise, the MPC version, much more proportionate, and I kind of like it, but I don't have any real issues or any problems with this one. You know, I went over the kit and the tooling and some of the changes that have gone on with it, but I really enjoyed building this. Now, when it came to this one, I did paint this one white, and it's airbrushed. Did it a long time ago, so I know I didn't paint this at the house, that the paint job was done beforehand. But if you look closely, you can kind of see the mold lines are still here. I didn't sand the mold lines. It's molded in yellow plastic, so you can see the yellow plastic poking through in some spots. The GTX emblem has yellowed a little bit. And then I painted the stripes down here, which are hand painted. I didn't mask those, I just hand painted those. And you know, the spoiler is airbrushed. And then the whole underside I've airbrushed and detailed, but you can see where I brush painted a lot of the other black pieces. And the rear differential, which this has the automatic in it, and the 8 3/4 rear end. Now it has the molded in exhaust and no shock absorbers, and I didn't fix any of that on this one. And you can see the engraving, or the molded in letters are still there. I like to remove those now, but at the time I did this, I didn't do it. And you can see the yellow poking through, especially in all of the jams areas here when I flip it over. Now I like to black all that stuff out when I do a black chassis, or I like to get paint up in there. So now I'm really careful about getting the paint up into the body and detailing it out. But back when I did this, I wasn't quite that attentive to my builds. There's a really good word to use. But I did, you know, even then try to pick out all the details and the cables and stuff. So if they showed it, I tried to highlight it or paint it. And this has the air grabber hood, which I really like, this fresh air grabber hood. And you can make it functional, but you know, I just glued it in place, which is pretty much how it is. But it has all of this stuff under the hood, and then the air grabber decals. And you can see I used some clear to help hold them down because they were curling up on me. So I brushed some clear on there to get them to stick down a little bit better. But you can see the matte finish of airbrushing, but not the greatest job masking. But that's all comes with experience. The more you do it, the better you get. But I did use bare metal foil on this. And there's the 446 pack, which was 385 horsepower for 1971. It dropped about 5 horsepower. And supposedly it's, you know, the emissions, and I've read that they lower the compression, but I've also read in other specs that they didn't. So depending on what you read, but I remember reading that they really didn't drop the compression ratios in Mopars for 71. So even though some things say that, there's others out there that contradict that. But no additional detailing, just built this one right out of the box. Brush painted the air filter white and the black, but I airbrushed the engine orange and the lid orange, which this lid comes chrome, but it shouldn't be chromed. Looks good chrome. And then I also decided I was going to do tan interior, so you can see the tan interior, which this really does have the upscale GTX interior in it. And it presents really nicely with the tough wheel, so you can see the steering wheel there. And I think this combination looks really good. And I've resisted the urge to rebuild this one because I really enjoyed building it, and it is the first one that I finished after moving in and restarting my my building here, and really haven't stopped since then. So it's been 20 years of building since I built this one, but this is one of the first ones, or this is the first one I completed once I pulled out all my old models and stuff that I hadn't built. I did manage to keep all of my stuff. I kept my airbrushes, a lot of my paints, a good chunk of my parts stashes, but a lot of my buildups didn't survive the move. A lot of them were destroyed to make room, and some of them I tore apart and was playing with them and rebuilding them and just honing my skills. There are many I wish I kept. There were a lot of them that I sold on eBay that I wish I didn't do that. But I do have a lot of my favorites and the best ones from that time period that I did keep. So I've shown you some of those, and I have more to show you there. But I figured I would show you this one. And it's also one of the last ones. It is the last one in my opening sequence of photos that flip across that I haven't featured. But I figured I would feature it now. And mainly because, you know, it presents nice, and I think it's going to film fairly nicely. But the paint's a little thin. There's no primer under it. You can see the yellow in some spots. So I don't know if the camera picks some of that out. And you can see the yellow right here where it didn't glue, or the chrome came off, or I scraped the chrome off to get it to glue better. Don't quite remember that. But I haven't knocked the mirrors off. But yeah, just haven't really rebuilt this one. And I enjoyed building it. And I did eventually build that Sublime Green 71 Roadrunner, which I showed on the channel also. And I'll build that new Fast and Furious kit, but I think I'm going to do some of the upgrades to that. So I bought the resin kit, resin pieces to upgrade that one to more of the 72 movie car. So thank you for tuning in and subscribing, and all of your comments and shares, and hit that like button so you can get all of my alerts when I launch my videos on Saturdays. So you regular guys know that I launch my videos on Saturdays. So thank you, and you guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next Saturday.